Okay, so I've been letting lanes run a little bit again. And since this is a kind of a tour inside Al's head, I gotta be frankly, the real reason I shut the video down is because I wanted to go refill my coffee cup, because I've been hydrating with coffee for, I don't know, 25, 30 years. Old fat guy like myself needs a lot of fluids, a lot of water. And the only reason I thought it was cute to throw that in there, because 9/10 of the population is going to get all up and start screaming at their monitor because people with a brain know that you can't hydrate with coffee. Well, suck it. You're wrong. Medical science has recently had to prove you wrong because the stupid people have been out there promulgating this idiocy for so long. It's as bad as the decimal point that got moved that makes people think spinach has more iron in it than something else green. Stupid, stupid, stupid. This whole channel is about combating the stupid. So, I normally drink my coffee off to the side of the screen as I turn around and grab some. Well, my coffee cup got low. So I made an excuse and I interrupted the video so I could go refill my coffee cup. There, how's that for inside Al's head? So where we were is we were going to clean this up, run a patch through the bore, do a little scrubby in there. I actually did this last night just as I was wrapping up. I ran a bronze brush or a brass brush or a copper brush or whatever they call that goldy colored brush in there. And I pumped it through a couple of times and I just left it sit overnight. I didn't put any bore solvent on it. I actually put some oil on it. I don't know if it did or is gonna do anything or not. But I'm going to push a patch through now that it's sat for a bit. Some of my cleaning equipment that I keep here close to the lathe just for this sort of thing. I promised I wouldn't put in any plugs for people or products, but I tell you folks, I use these Dewey rods everywhere. They're like that hobo oil stuff that they're selling over on one of the sites that kicked my butt out. I use that for everything. Now again, I ran this patch in and out. Got a pretty nice Wix Jag on there for using it out here in the shop. I hope I don't drop that on the concrete and nick it. And it came through clean. We're going to see what that does to change the readings on the Gordy rod. Because when I left, I was trying to decide in my head bone whether it was the chuck, jiggy. I was getting a couple tenths where I'm used to getting. All of this is kind of down in the dirt, people, because what we're doing is we're honing in on a center line and we're honing in on a chosen section of center line. There's two schools of thought, as I'll say over and over. There's those that believe that we should set the entry point of the bullet in line with the exit point, which I call, for sake of discussion, chambering between centers. And then there's this new phenomena that I'm calling, to give credit where credit is due, the Gordy method, where we take a section of bore right here and establish as best we can its straightness. In either case, the bullet enters dead center. The bullet has to enter the lead well centered up, or you're going to get something called in-bore yaw, among other things. You're going to get bullet deformation. You understand? We tend to think of things in their quiescent state. When you pull the trigger on a rifle, it takes 600 pounds of force to start that bullet into the barrel. What that means is, and this has been done, and I have done it, I can put a barrel in the vise, and I can stick a bullet in the lands. A 6mm bullet, the one that I used, took 442 pounds to engrave into the rifle. And you add 442 pounds to a little fragile bullet base, and if it's got any eccentricities, it's that's a lot of weight, people. That's a lot of weight. And we're just talking in terms of, again, there's might be somebody out there that understands that we Americans don't even measure in weight. Screw all y'all. We have kilos on the one side, we have pounds on the other based on the slug system. I get all that. Weights, mass acceleration, acceleration due to gravity. Again, in the real world, we're talking about something that we term as weight. And I'm telling you that to get a 6mm bullet started down the bore, you've got to stack 400 pounds of weight on it. Well, that's significant. So we want to make that entry point straight. That's what we're trying to do here. So I just put a brush in and out of here. Let's see what Gordy tells us. Okay, we're kind of starting over here. This is where we left off just yesterday. I didn't think I was going to leave off, but life is full of interruptions. And last night we spent time with friends until 2 o'clock in the morning not drinking. It's a lost art, something called visiting with friends. I'm not going to go off on some kind of an irrelevant rant about social media and people walking around with their phones in their hands crashing into telephone poles. But we still engage in that lost art of conversation with people. Okay, I should get this again. I had it set up. Must have it. You know what I did is I took it off and I put it back on. Now I've got to find again where I had this thing set up. Just in my cleanup, I was talking about how I bent a Gordy rod. I just remembered a third time this rod's been hammered pretty hard. I had it sticking out the outboard end one day and I got distracted. I was using it as I used it in the video immediately prior to this. And I walked by and bumped it. So this particular rod has been abused. Well, can you see it is the question. This camera does not have a zoom. It does have a manual focus, and I'm going to take that manual focus to right here. I'm still working out the lighting issues, but on my little monitor here, I believe I can see that dial. Manual, here we come. Hand right here. Let's see. The reason it's such a fight, the fight between focus, available light, and glare is a constant seesaw. See if I run the light up, if that changes. See that glare pop out? That's not healthy. Wouldn't be prudent. I think we're gonna darken the ambient a little bit here. I'm not even a budding filmographer. I have no interest in this. I'm here only to document. So, where we're at before I spin this thing over, better hit a neutral. Well, you know what? I'm going to leave it. I had it in a high gear. I'm going to leave it in gear. That loads the headstock up a little bit. Might give us a better reading. I just set up. What we've just done is I left it soak overnight with some oil in the bore. After scrubbing it with a brush, and I just pushed it out. Not a lot, by the way. I just put a tiny little dabble-do-ya on the brush. I'm just trying to knock off if there was some stuff on those. I'm not concerned about the sizing. That bush is within couple 10,000ths of correct, but when I put this together I felt that there was a little alligatoring beyond the throat, which brings the bore a little smaller. Maybe it knocked the top off of those gator scales a little bit, but instead of going off on this endless dissertation of speculation, let's back this up, set it down, make sure that we're actually on and reading in a place that hopefully I'll pick up on the camera. You know what, I'm going to turn that. I feel that I get better readings on the camera down in this area. There, see, now you can see. I feel that we're getting a more consistent wobble. Let's find out. Now what we're doing at this stage is getting to as close as we can to a zero wobble, which is ludicrous. A 10,000th of an inch, people, is really small. And in this uncontrolled, wide open, hot and cold, I got breezes blowing in here that will, not because the doors are open, but because I've got a big shop through around me. I'm trying to live in this little warmer bubble. It's getting up onto 50-some degrees in my bubble. But the vagrant changes in air temperature and in the conditions will change things a tenth of an inch. So what we're looking for here is concentricity and striving towards center. Measurements are meaningless. Measurements are for dweebs. No, measurements are for either professionals or ignorant people. I'm not a professional. You know, when you're in the industry holding tolerances, I know how to hold tolerances, and I hold tolerances, but I don't hold tolerances to the repeatability that I'm shipping a part all over the world, and it has to work, and when it doesn't work, you can prove that it's not your fault, it's the fault on the other end, that they've lost tolerance. That's the essence of professionalism in industry. Here, I don't even have that option. I'm not in a temperature-controlled environment. I wonder if the shadow of my arm on there makes it better or worse. I'm trying to look over to the monitor. I guess it doesn't matter. Hopefully shortly in the mail I'll be getting a bigger one. And maybe that bigger dial will show better. The reason I'm going wide and narrow is because this is the part that's frustrating when I'm not getting a perfectly clean up and down side to side because of the bore being a little rough. That's where those tents are showing up. This is a used bore. It's probably got somewhere between 500 and 1,500 rounds of 243 Ackley hammered through it. This is not a pristine bore, so I'm going to only probably get it within a tenth of wobble where I'm working. That'll probably change. I'll probably get a little more wobbly back here and a little less wobbly up there. But again, I'm just hewing to center line, people. I'm not taking measurements. The other thing I'm fighting, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm making excuses, but I am making excuses for my... I hate to go so far as to take out these new shims, but if they're springing too badly, it takes a while to hammer them in. That's the other thing I'm fighting, is as I change tension on this side, because I'm now at the loose point. I'm now at the point where it might look like I'm working on this, but instead I'm tightening. I'm going into tensor here. I'm tightening my muscles up only to rigidify it so I can go just a little bit. I can't just randomly reach up here and go because I'm moving the dial in very small increments. what's happening is, because the tensions are low, I'm getting crazy feedbacks. I'll back up this side and it'll push back from the bottom side. So I'm kind of mashing these things out and dealing with that. This is why I like to use well-used ones, but in the interest of clarifying the video, we're using brand new ones, and you're getting to see the fight that it may take to get those brand new ones to read consistently. An example of this side. Inadvertently I was going biggity bag, and this side was looser than it needs to be, and that was throwing some kinks into the system. All I'm trying to do here is explain why this part of it is taking a little longer than is normal. Because if some of you use my method of making these shims out of line, you're going to run into this same thing. It's going to take a minute for these shims to stabilize. It's funny how often this happens, that it goes right in between, because as I'm talking, I just need to go to here, do my change, go clear to here, do my change, go to here, and go to here. So even going smoothly, cold chuck gives it a part of a tenth, but I'm getting, the tenths are changing, but I'm getting up to 3/10 of differential here, which is actually more than that because I'm way inside of here. I'm going to come back out a ways, take some readings out here, see how they, I'm just going to start checking now for linearity. Essentially the same readings here. Now I just drove way into here, and I'm going to see if I still get some kind of near-on readings. Well, this just sucks. I'm going to have to hang a weight. What sucks? I'm just going to throw something together here. I hate to pinch on my rod. There's probably enough weight right here. Again, this Chet Whitebread I referenced a minute ago posted pictures of his setup. And he humbles me because it's all clean and nice. He's got a weight made for this. It's so freaking cool. I need to make a weight. I just use them when my readings start to get a little gooky. There, I got a weight hanging. I'm going to bring the weight. Nah, I'm going to, yeah. I'm in as far as I'm going to go. I'm at a point where I'm frustrated with the way this barrel is dialing in, but the reason I did this, I just chased that same little 3/10 of tickety-tick back and forth in the bore. This is a straight bore, which is one of those things that Bilbo Baggins hates. Coming way back, way back, way back, way back, way back. I'm going to spend another second here at the texta mark and just see if I can get this. Now I'm going to probably have to do a barrel up another one on the video here, just because I'm gonna my idea with the funky bore here ain't working, because this bore it's reading differently than it did when I left it last night, but it's still wobbling. It wasn't a cleanliness issue. It's bent up in there. I'm getting 0 there, back to 0 there, getting a different reading here, back to the same different reading here. So basically it's like the bore is either squished, what it is wear. It's worn eccentric where this is riding. I got 0 run out right here, and I go to here, I'm getting a different reading, but I've got, again, essentially 0 run out as well as I can get with this chuck. And the difference between the two is 2/10. So, now I see the lettering right here. I'm going to run this in a ways. See if I'm getting the same. The first thing I see is that I see very, very little change. I've still got, okay, there's my lettering. I go to there, I get a 1/10 difference. I go here, and I go here, and I'm getting that same thing. See, I'm getting 2 readings on this tangent and 2 readings on this. Now I'm going to run it out. Did I come out of the bore? What in the world? I'm actually getting linearity there. Did I come off of it? Something's wrong. There's no way. Okay, there we go back. Okay, so again, there's the lettering. This reading is within a 1/10. It rolls down now. This reading, right there near, I can see it as the 5, just below the 5. So I have a 1/10 here. One thing I'm going to do, just because I'm here and because I can, I'm going to loosen this up since I'm out of ways. There's the texta mark. I'm 1 inch behind the swivel point.